Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and welcome back to another edition of Quick Topics, the show where I discuss different movie related and physical media movie collecting topics. So let's get into it. I've got 6 topics as always. Let's get to it. So, the first movie topic I want to discuss is watching movies in VR. Will it become the future? What are my thoughts on it in general? First of all, I will say I've only had one VR experience. I remember a couple of years back, I was in a shop and then they had the headset on display and you could put it on. And I remember putting it on and it was like under the sea, under the sea. And it was really, I'll be honest, I was astonished by it. And it was only for a few seconds, so I thought it was amazing. But I will say, I do get motion sickness, and when I play like the Nintendo Switch on handheld, if I play certain games for more than like 10 minutes, I get really bad motion sickness. So for me, I don't know what I would feel like watching a movie in a VR cinema, because I know you can get the VR headsets now, and you can be in like a virtual cinema to watch a movie, which I think is a really cool idea. But I don't know whether I would get motion sickness and whether that would kind of like ruin the movie experience for me if I was feeling sick. But I love that idea that you can go into a virtual cinema. And I think if you can actually hack it, you can hack the motion sickness. I think it's cool because it's like you don't have to have, I think if you have a really small space and you don't have space for a big TV, you can then just put the headset on and you're literally in a cinema and you can have like a 100-inch screen or the visual of a 100-inch screen and it would look like that. I think that is a really cool experience. And I think, like I said, it's all down to how you feel. If you don't have that motion sickness, you can get a really good experience, I bet you, out of VR. Because I think I see like the videos of VR now and the headsets are getting better and better. I think it's a great idea for cinema. I think it's going to be. I think there's probably a community there already who are all in on like VR cinema and watching movies in VR. I think that's a really cool idea, and let me know your thoughts. Are you a VR cinema guy or cinema girl? Let me know your thoughts. How often do I curate my collection? And what am I talking about when I say curate? I think for me, it's going through the collection, deciding on which movies need to be moved out the collection. Maybe some movies have to be taken out permanently and given to charity or sold on. I do this fairly regularly, and I think now I'm looking at the collection. I put like certain collections together, like comedy shells, action shells, and then more recently, I'm like, should I do it A to Z as well? And this is something fairly regular I'm doing now, looking at the collection and thinking maybe I could put something else in there instead. Maybe I could make a shelf for this type of movies. And yeah, I do it fairly regular, and especially with doing the videos on the channel because I'm looking at this, weekly, probably daily most of the time, and looking at it and thinking, how can I make this a better collection? So I'm always curating. I think it is a regular thing, and I think if you're a fan of movies and a fan of building a movie collection, I think it's something you should do fairly regular and just be honest and say, this isn't right for the collection at this moment in time, or maybe I want to change it and get something slightly different in the collection moving forward. So The Walking Dead has finally finished, and I want to give my thoughts on the show in general. I will say I didn't watch the finale. I've seen the clips online on YouTube, so I am aware of the finale. And I suppose if you're still not seeing it, there will be spoilers ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So Rick Grimes returned for a very short scene in the finale, and I'll be honest, I switched off even before he left the show. It was just, I think it was after Negan arrived. I think the first season I enjoyed, and then it just kind of went off the boil, and I was like, I switched off. And I think a lot of people, I think a majority of people really did switch off around that same point as I did, around that sort of season. It just felt like it was running too long, and I think it's a show that was so good at the time, and I think it had really good like cliffhangers and stuff like that. The first couple of seasons were amazing. And I thought it was like, solid TV show. But then it just, something changed, and it just kind of, the writing, the acting, I think the acting, the storytelling, it just went too far. And I think it just like, they needed to finish that show a lot earlier. And I think that was the problem. I think they've let it go on for too long, that show. And the storytelling and the stories just didn't feel significant anymore, and it was just felt like it was stretched out and overstretched, that show. And I think if they'd done it maybe like 6 seasons, that would have been it. that would have been a good amount of time. They could have really told some great stories. And I think the way, it didn't bother me so much that they went away from what the comics were doing, because I never read the comic book, so that didn't bother me. But I think they had too many characters, too many changes, and yeah, it was too long-winded, the show in general. I wish it would have just been a short show, couple of seasons, and that would have been it, and I would have enjoyed it, and I would have been able to go back to it more and rewatch it and enjoy it, because I've got no, I don't want to go and watch that show now. I don't feel like I need to go and rewatch it, because I don't want to get to the end of it, because I'd just be like, I know it'd switch off again. It's just not for me. But I know there's a lot of fans still that enjoy it, and it's a bit mad though. But they've finished the main show, but it's like there's about 5 more spin-offs, and a lot of the characters from the main show are continuing with spin-off shows. So it feels like it's not really ended in a way, the franchise. And it feels like they probably will end up doing more of the main season eventually, more Rick Grimes. So it doesn't feel like it's really had that finale yet with Walking Dead. It feels like it's still, even though the main show is not running, you've got all these spin-offs of the show. And I feel like it's probably going to end up going back to that main show again at some point as well, most likely. But yeah, like I said, for what it's worth, the first couple of seasons were amazing. But then after that, yeah, it was just like, not for me, not for me. Do I watch all of the movies in my movie collection? Now, I bring this topic up because I watch a lot of like video gaming YouTube channels, and there's one in particular, CJR, and he has like 6,000 video games. Now, I do not have that amount of video games in like the equivalent to movies. I've got like a couple of hundred here behind me, and a few upstairs in wallet, and a few other little bits around the house and stuff. But I don't have that amount. But I do have a decent amount of movies. And it's like, do I watch all these movies, and will I watch them all again? And for me, goes back to that question of curating movies. And for me, I'm always looking at it, curating and getting a collection to what I enjoy in movies. And I always think, if I'm looking behind me and there's a movie I'm not all in on and I'm not enjoying, I'm probably never going to watch, it's got to go. It's got to go, because I don't see the point. I'd rather get a movie in the collection that I know I'm going to really enjoy. And that's what I feel like with the collection behind me. It's all movies that I'm all in on, I'm really enjoying, and I could pick any of these movies out, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll watch that, I'll enjoy that. And yeah, so it's not that I don't watch every single movie every year. And there's probably movies I've maybe not watched in a couple of years in this collection. But I will watch them eventually again, because these are movies I do enjoy. And I think that's a good idea, to have a collection. That I don't like buying movies and have that, that FOMO sort of purchase, fear of missing out and just buying a movie for the sake of buying it. Because I've done that with video games in the past, and you just, and never end up playing them. You're just buying them for the sake of buying them. So for movies, it's got to be movies that I'm really enjoying, movies that I really get a lot of enjoyment out of watching. And yeah, so I don't watch movies all the time, but I don't watch all these movies in the collection all the time, what I mean to say, but I know that at some point in the future I will want to watch one of these movies again at some point, even if I've not watched them in a year or so. And that's the good thing about having a physical media collection for me. So it's heavily rumoured now that Justice League 2 will be happening from DC and the DC Extended Universe. And I'll be honest with you, I think the Zack Snyder cut was really good. It was like a 4 or 5 hour cut. I really enjoyed that. The original one I didn't really mind, but I felt like it was rushed to get to that first Justice League movie. And I think before they end up doing another Justice League, they should really focus on the solo movies again. And it feels like if they bring it out in the next 2 to 3 years, it'll be rushed again. I feel like they need to set out what they're doing with this universe in a bunch of solo movies for at least 5 to 6 years, for me personally, because that's the way Marvel did it. They did it really well. They built up the characters of the Iron Man, the Captain America, Thor. They built up all those characters up, and then you had that first Avengers movie a couple of years on. And that's what DC needs, because it feels like DC just doesn't know what direction they're going in now. It's like, are they going in this more gritty route? Are they going in an extended sort of universe that is all interconnected, or are they doing solo universes? I don't feel like they know what they're doing, and I think under now the guidance of James Gunn there and that other guy at DC as the head of DC creative for the movie division, I think maybe they'll have a better idea of where they're going. But I still would go have the route of having Justice League 2 as like the sort of like the end goal for all these films, and build up these characters a lot more in solo movies. I think it would make more sense. How would I build a cheap movie collection from scratch? Well, first of all, I'd identify what type of movies you want to get in your collection. And do you want to get, your comic book movies, your Star Wars, Studio Ghibli, action movies, whatever it may be. Find out what sort of movies you want to get first of all, and then I would I go on eBay, I go on Amazon, find out the prices, and then most of all, if you want to get movies really cheap, and if you are on a budget, get to the charity shops. Be patient. I think that's the thing with charity shops. You're not always going to get the ones you want straight away. You've got to be patient. That's the best way to build it. Go in charity shops. You're going to save a lot of money. And I think you've got to say to yourself, format-wise, if again you are on a budget and you want to build a movie collection on the cheap, you've got to say to yourself, what format is going to be the cheapest? 4K is going to be super high priced. Blu-ray, middle of the road. Blu-rays are getting cheaper, but it's availability of decent movies. But if you go into DVD, go to a charity shop, the selection is endless. Hundreds of different DVDs in there. You can, build up a really good collection, and hopefully there'll be options there to build up the collections that you want to build, the franchises you want to get in your collection in there. So I think the charity shop is the best way to go, but you can still get good deals as well on going eBay and Amazon route if there are maybe movies that you don't feel like you're going to get at a charity shop. So you can still get DVDs cheap there, but again, I think DVD is the way to go if you build up a cheap collection to start off with, and then go from there. Honestly, that's the way I would build a cheap movie collection or a movie collection on a budget. If you enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like and check out the rest of the movie related content on the channel, and let me know your thoughts on today's quick topics. Leave your comments below on all today's topics, ladies and gents. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.